am a white woman with mid-length, short length now, dark brown hair, currently wearing a peach jumpsuit. So welcome to What's Next After Fringe. I know it's a little intense having that 3 days before the festival is over, but there is nothing better than holding on to the momentum. So today we're gonna have a brilliant chat with some amazing industry professionals to help get your brains moving into what is next, because art doesn't stop because Fringe is over, right? We have so many more places to take these shows. So that's what we're gonna get into. I am going to jump right in because we only have an hour and 15 minutes. So could each of you introduce yourselves, your name, your pronouns, what organization you work with, and a little bit about your relationship to Fringe?
Yeah, great. I'm Darren Lee Cole from Soho Playhouse in New York. I'm gonna still call myself a middle-aged white man with brown hair and mostly graying currently. I'm wearing a blue shirt, black jeans, and I have on some pretty groovy Vans that are rolling. Thank you. Yeah, and just super excited to be here. I love all the shows. I love all of you. So looking forward to this chat.
Hi everybody, I'm Katie Dammers. I'm the Deputy Director and Chief Curator at Red Cat here in LA. So I'm the local on the panel. I use she, her pronouns. I am wearing a red dress with black shoes and blue eyes, and I've got my hair pulled back. And it's my first time at Hollywood Fringe.
Hi, my name is Adam Potricus. I'm a Polish-born, Sweden-educated via Australia, living in the UK. I run Stockholm Fringe and also the Baltic Nordic Fringe Network. I'm a soon 50-year-old white male who has a pink hat that says Liberty Art and Cake, which is the slogan for the festival, and a Keith Haring patterned shirt.
Hi all, my name is Francesca Vitale. I will talk you with my Italian English, something weird, so forgive me for my accent, and if Lois will answer something, I will nod and I will answer something totally different. So,
Yes, Auntie.
I'm the founder and the co-organizer of Fringe Italy Off, that is a network from Milano up to the north and Catania down south. I am curly hair. I have glasses because of air condition, because I normally take lenses, contact lenses, and I have a dress I bought in Vietnam.
Thank you so much for being here. It really is such a privilege to get to share space with you, because we're all after the same thing, uplifting art and making sure that artists have a life well beyond all of our different spaces. So it really is exciting to get to pick your brains today. Let's start with more about your organization, your venue, or your festival. What type of work do you usually book?
So at Soho Playhouse, we're one of the original off-Broadway theaters in New York City. And off-Broadway, I usually start by describing what that is. It's much more than a location off-Broadway. The actual technical terminology for off-Broadway is contract-driven. If you have less than 100 seats in your theater in New York, you're off-Broadway. If you have between 100 and 499 seats, you're off-Broadway. And if you have 500 plus seats, that's a Broadway contract. But why I say that that's just a description about the technicalities, off-Broadway over the years has come to mean worldwide a style and type of theater and artistic expression that really fits hand in glove with the Fringe concept, because off-Broadway represents risk-taking, because the finances are considerably different and less, although that's changing, but as we all experience. But still, it's much more affordable to do a play, which begets more risk and more chances. The thing I'm most proud of in a world where equity and diversity and these items are being talked about considerably, we have organically grown that way. And it's always been that way off Broadway in New York. We're fortunate to live in a city that has representative of humans from everywhere on Earth. So it's a beautiful thing. So Fringe shows have gone through my program, which is the International Fringe Encore Series, where we scout Fringe festivals around the world, and we nominate, which we will do at this festival, well, so come to the award ceremony. We will be doing at this festival as well. We nominate shows from various festivals around the world. The committee meets in New York at the end of October, and we select just a handful of those nominees, and we bring them to New York and fully produce an off-Broadway run for them at the Soho Playhouse.
So I work at Red Cat, which I hope you all know because many of you are LA locals. Red Cat stands for the Roy and Edna Disney Cal Arts Theater. So we're located in downtown Los Angeles on Grand Avenue, inside the very beautiful Walt Disney Music Hall, so a Frank Gehry historic building. We are a mid-sized theater, so we've got 200 seats, and we also have a beautiful gallery. So as the Deputy Director and Chief Curator of Performing Arts, I handle all dance and music and theater, and everything that's in between, which includes opera, performance art, clowning, and interdisciplinary performance, I guess we could say. And that happens in both spaces. It's often in the theater, but I've also done things in the lobby. We have a lounge as well, which is a little bit of a cabaret kind of space, and also in our gallery. So exhibitions can be about dance or music or theater, or we put performances in there as well. So I handle performance there. We do a regular season around an academic year because we're aligned with CalArts, or the California Institute of the Arts in Valencia. So we usually program from mid-September through mid-June, although we do have one late-breaking show this weekend. So if you need a break from Fringe, come to Red Cat. Annie Dorson, opening tonight, incredible theater. But beyond that, we do really uplift work that's experimental, that's new creation, that's interdisciplinary, and that's really asking hard questions. That doesn't mean that it isn't fun, it's a lot of fun, but it's often work that's a little bit at the fringier end. So even though we are part of the Music Center with big things like LA Opera or Center Theater Group, we are the smallest theater within that conglomerate, and we support, I would say, the edgiest, and in my opinion, most exciting work.
You were on the fringe of your own menu. What of us?
Well, Stockholm Fringe was founded 15 years ago by 3 Fringe artists who performed in Melbourne and won an award, and we're like, why doesn't this exist in the Nordics? So we started the Fringe in Stockholm 2010, and nobody had heard of the Fringe. They thought it was a hairdressing festival. So, and then it just rolled, and we did like a post on MySpace back then and Facebook, and people applied from every country in the globe, nearly. 7 years later, edition 7 or 8, there were other festivals popping up in the Nordics. So then we formed the Baltic Nordic Fringe Network. So there is now fringes in 11 countries in the Nordic Scandinavian region. So if you come to perform at our festival, which is a boutique festival, and by boutique I mean 1 week, you can then go on and perform in Oslo or Gothenburg the week after and things like that. So you do like a mini tour, and we position just after Edinburgh. So people who go to Edinburgh, somebody here, you can come and do a few more weeks of playing and working hard to get audiences. Anyway, we're a multidisciplinary festival. We open to all. We don't our focus is really broad. It's kind of the artists who decide what comes and what we program. We're trying to be as broad, genre-wise, gender-wise, topic-wise. We are probably left of center. We are very queer, but that's not everybody is welcomed. Obviously, we're a fairly small festival. The venues are between 35 to 100 seaters. Any given year, it's between 12 to 25 venues, so it's a smaller festival than Hollywood, but also it's fun. And it's not just a place to come to perform, it's also to do workshops and learn things and share knowledge.
Fun fact, they have a tattoo artist at their opening night party, as you can see here.
So Fringe Italia was born as Milano of Fringe Festival because I was involved in the managing of Avignon Fringe Festival, but they are francophone. They don't want to use the word fringe, and you know how they call the festival? Off. That's insane. But
This is live stream, Francesca.
that's insane, but it's a fringe. So the festival was set up at 2016. It's a curated festival, and we have directors who would make a choice, a difficult choice, because we have many applications every year, and we are glad about that. We are open to every purpose of any language. We hope to be able to subtitle for Italian people that doesn't understand other languages. Otherwise, we try anyway to take English or Spanish or French or other languages speaking. And after a few years, Catania was born. Just this year will be 4th edition of Catania. And you can apply for Milano and Catania as well. Till last year we had one week gap between Milano and Catania, but we decided to suicide and we have no gap anymore. And so soon after Milano we fly to Catania to start the festival, and that's it. But I hope to see more of yours in Catania or Milano Festival, because we like to be worldwide festival.
So something I think worth pointing out for those that are new to the Fringe model, like worldwide, right? Like Hollywood Fringe is like several of the Fringes, but not all. Many of the festivals actually curate. So like everyone on this panel is going to be in a more curated space. So that's kind of the questions we're going to focus on now. But know that in the Fringe world, it's like 50-50 at this point. Like a lot of like Edinburgh, Adelaide, Sydney, all of these are uncurated. Whereas a lot of the Nordic festivals, the Italian festivals are curated. So something to consider when you're looking at touring on the Fringe circuit is like figuring out which ones you have to apply to or lottery to, and then filling in the gaps with the uncurated, because that could quickly mess up a tour is if you're counting on ones that are curated. Okay, so again, we are talking to curators here. What is it that you look for? What is it about a show that stands out to you that will make you book a show? And what is, like, how do you evaluate risk when it comes to programming, especially as for risk takers? We have to think budget too, right? It's often forgotten by the artist is that it can be a very expensive risk to take for those, especially with space. So how does a show stand out to you, and also how do you evaluate risk?
I guess I'll go first. So I will say, in terms of curation, I determine the programming, but sometimes we do an open call. And so that's our new Original Works Festival. This happens every November. A great thing for local people to apply to. It's specifically for folks in Southern California. And then with that, I get this year almost 130 applications for what's usually 9 slots. And so then I'm reading. I'm trying to figure out how do I make what's a very difficult choice. So I'm looking for a lot of things. I'm looking for someone who has an original idea. So we're all making work about climate change because that's really important. But I want to see your personal take on that. And that means less of like you're grasping and you find the right thing to grab onto, and more of that you really know who you are and you're choosing something that's in your backyard, that's in your pocket, that you know super, super well, that no one else has that perspective on. I also want someone who's rigorous. So you have a research process, you've really practiced this, you have a relationship to your métier, whether you're a dancer or a clowner or a theater maker. You understand where you fit in the lineage, and you're pushing it forward or you're pushing it in a different direction, and being able to articulate that is really important. So I want you to be aware of the field. I also want you to ask hard questions. Again, they don't have to be sad questions, but I want you to really grapple with something so that people can then come to your show and come away with it thinking like, wow, I really agreed with that, or I disagreed, or that changed my perspective. So I want work that really matters and has an impetus in that way.
Yeah. Very supportive audience, I love it.
Yeah, picking up on that, yeah, the curation is interesting. I don't want anybody in this room or anybody in the world, for that matter, to think that if they don't get selected in some capacity in our process for this specific program, that's not the end of the story. So I think it's really important for everybody to understand that, like meeting Francesca and meeting everybody that are artists and producers from around the world. Relationships are built in Fringe that go way beyond individual programs. So I did want to make sure to make that note. Our curation is, you know, the smart alecky answer is we're looking for good shows that entertain people. That's primarily, like, sometimes we get so in the weeds we lose sight of that primarily. And so we do focus on, I watch the audience often as much as I watch the show. And so that's a big factor. I completely agree about clarity in risk taking and not just global warming or we're oppressed, which are serious and important issues in the artistic space, but to have a specific point of view about that, and when it's personalized, if it matters to you, it matters to us as audience, which I think is really important. But also, you know, that's only half the battle, especially in the commercial space in New York City. So I observe the artist off the stage. I observe the artist and curate the artist off the stage. Who is hustling? Who is out there, like everybody who has done these cabarets in the last 2 days? I've been here the last 2 days. I've booked shows already just from being exposed to them in these cabarets. It shows me those artists are taking the extra effort. They're not just sitting back and waiting for people to come to their show. And you know, you all know, anybody who's done a Fringe show, I have sincerely a massive amount of respect for you, because we've all walked that road in this room. We know how tough it is. But sometimes when you get into a program like the International Fringe Encore Series, those that don't succeed as much as they could feel like, okay, I've already achieved the goal. And I kind of made it. I got my slot in New York, and it's a rough road. So we're also looking for people who are good communicators, who are doing the work off the stage. I feel almost as important as on the stage.
What do we always say? Show up, right? That's the one thing you can do.
I mean, packaging is super important. Doesn't matter how bloody talented you are or how great story you have. If you can't describe your work in a tweet or whatever it's called, then you know, and if you have a crap photograph or a really bad post, it's not gonna sell. You need to communicate with people in a different country far away that have a different social code than you, so you need to think of the audience. But having that said, I mean, most of the people here, when we look around, there's pretty good posts there, so I think most of you are really good. So packaging is one thing, and also describing why are you doing the work you're doing, who is the work for. Like when we sit in a program and we think of the audience that we want to be at the festival, we need to kind of know who you made the work for. And a lot of people, we don't need an essay, but we need you to have very clear, I'm doing this work because this is the audience, this is the experience I want the audience to have. Because then when we speak with the press, they're going to ask, okay, why should we come and why should the audience come? So just, again, communication is super important.
Know your why with everything in your life, right?
And just a small detail, because we know the Baltic Nordic Fringe Network, we have a joint artist call that starts in December, finishes in January, and you can apply to all the festivals in the network with one application, and then you pick which ones you want to do. And most people do 2 to 3. So, yeah.
If I can, I'll just pick up quickly on what Adam said. That's so, because it's so important. You need an elevator pitch, what we call an elevator pitch. Everybody knows, I assume, what that is. Like you finally get in the elevator with the right person. You got to be able to describe your show in 2 floors. And if it's for, and if somebody I ask them who's your show for, and they say everybody, that means it's for nobody.
As for Fringe Italia, as for your Fringe, you can apply, you just have an application for both Fringe. So you know, this year we had about 300 requests, appliance. So it was very difficult to make a final choice. I didn't do it because I suffer a lot. A group of directors do it, but we are all on the same page. And at the end, they select about 100 shows, and the venues at the end select the shows. So it's a double selection. What we do, what I recommended to the companies and my colleagues and actors and actresses is just close a story. Don't make something. I see many talented artists that make just a show with many frames. They do not conclude. They do not have a good direction. And so we see it as sometimes it's so weird to see so talented people that has not his project concluded. So this is what I feel to recommend you, and this is the choice that we curate more when we make a choice of the show. About the risk, what to do. A Fringe is a risk. For us is a risk. For you is a risk. You come at your risk. You have many. How much money do you spend in a Fringe festival? So much. So I want to give you a good news. In Italy, we give accommodation to you because of the family. Italian families have our guest of the artists. So far, we gave accommodation to 100% requests. So I'm very proud. These applauses for Italy, not for me, of course. And so take your risk in doing, calculate everything, every step you have to do. And for our side, we know that everything there is a risk. I want to tell you a short story. I was in Avignon 1 year, and there was a show performed in Sicilian. It was called the Muto. That means shut up. It was a story about mafia.
What's the word again?
Muto.
Thank you.
Because we say Muto. Shut up, Muto. There were 3 people. One was me and my partner and another one. And at the end of the show, I said, "Okay, why did you do this shit thing? It's crazy." He said, "Okay, I tried. Okay, I'll come you in a few days and we go for dinner. Don't worry about that. Okay, everybody of us can make mistakes." I go back in 3 days and there was a queue of 100 persons. And you know why? Because a reviewer went to see Muto and he said, "What a wonderful play of a real Sicilian mood." And so this is the risky mood of the Fringe Festival. Who knows? That's what happened. This is a good story I like to tell every time to you guys, because who knows what can happen in a Fringe. Okay?
I guess one more thing, that we have reference groups. So there's this year the network of probably 450 applications from maybe 46 nations, and we don't have all the knowledge. And I mean, it's very subjective. So we do a short list of shows that will fit technically. Most shows that are rejected are because they are too big or because they don't fit the format of the festival. But then we actually let people who know the genres more have their opinions, because we don't have all the eyes that we need. I mean,
Yeah, I think knowing, and as artists, I think everyone's kind of gotten used to sometimes you're not the right fit. It has nothing to do with your talent, right? It has nothing to do with anything that is in your control. And so I think going into that with any of these opportunities, let's keep your heart more whole, because 9 times out of 10, there are things out of your control that are out of sometimes the booker's control. So know that going in. I want to jump kind of back.
Sorry, can I just say one more thing? It's as important the quality of the work that you perform on stage and if it is off. So if you perform at another festival, even if you won an award, if you were an asshole to crew or to technicians or to volunteers or other acts, their reputation spreads fast. So
We all talk.
So like, it's important to be a most valuable player on and off stage. It goes both ways. I mean, just give respect to people.
It does, and of course, and yeah, you're 100% right. We all know each other. We've been on panels for I think 8+ years now at this point, and we talk to each other because how we support the artists coming into art festivals is usually based on how another experience went, and especially for curated festivals. So we're open access, right? But if a curated festival comes to me and go, oh my God, this show applied. What do you think of them? I do not want to have to say they were an asshole. They were an asshole the entire run. Our venues had a hard time. Our techs had a hard time. That is not what I want to say. So consider that always in life. Don't be a jerk, right? And it really does matter. I want to kind of jump over to how to build your brand, only because we already covered it here, but I want to bring it into a Fringe specific context where we're talking about all of these things that are next. What can you be doing now? I just want that on your brain as you walk into the next 3 days. Remember, you're getting reviews. Audience reviews are run amok. There's so many. You are getting Soundpress reviews. You have the media on your page. Start to use the Hollywood Fringe page to build that brand for whatever is next. Because something about the Hollywood Fringe page is it doesn't go away. It's a hoarded bit of information, and so that's an internet presence, right? So even if you've already closed your show, start to build your show on that page so that you can start to figure out your brand, figure out what reviews are telling you about how to market it. Because I'm gonna guess there's at least a handful of shows that thought they should market one way, but based on their audience reviews have a very different elevator pitch now. So take that time to evaluate, take the time to have a post-mortem with yourself and your art, so you know how to best engage with whatever opportunity is next. So let's talk about not being a jerk and how to build relationships, because again, it really is so important. When I used to teach, I used to say half the time I would book work not because I was the most talented, but because I was the nicest in the room. And I think that goes for most people, right? The talent is great, but if you're a good person to be around, that's who's gonna book work. So how can an artist build a real relationship with you as bookers, as curators, that isn't simply transactional? So like, how do they start to build a relationship that will be fruitful on both sides, but also not a pain in the ass? Like, where's that line, right? Because before they get to driving you a little nutty with persistent outreach.
I have a expression I think many of you have heard before: be pleasantly persistent, which is different than being annoying and a nudge. But if you're pleasantly persistent, it shows me like that you have the stick-to-itiveness, that you're going to follow up, and be kind. It's free. It costs nothing in this world to be kind. And we notice kindness not just in a forced scenario in a meeting room like this. Again, you'd be surprised how much we look at the artists off the stage and how they're treating people. And then the branding thing, have a place for me to go. Have a website, have a QR code that is expansive beyond your specific show, but that brands you or the art that you're advocating for, and the greater idea of why you're doing the art. Have a place for me to go.
Yeah, I totally echo that. I think it's also really important to follow up. Like, if I come to your Fringe show, you should send me an email, and that's like, thanks for coming, here's a clip if you want to share it, and this is what I'm doing next. Or I've had some artists already be like, hey, I saw that you didn't sign up for your Fringe show. I'm sure you're really busy. I'm going to do an encore in August. Are you around in August? That's great. That shows me that like you're aware, you're not angry that I can't come to your show, I can't make it to it all, but you're thoughtful that like, okay, you'll invite me to the next time you're at the Hyperion. I'd love to see you there. I think too, it's really important that you update your assets. It's really hard sometimes when I'm starting to research an artist and I go to their website and it says that they're 25 and clearly they're not anymore. So I want to be able to know like, what are you up to? What have you done recently? What are you working on next? It's also, I think, worth it even to say like, I'm in development on A, B, and C, even if you haven't premiered it yet. Because so often I'll see somebody's show and be like, yeah, that's not right, but they seem really smart, super engaging. I'm going to keep them in mind, and then when I'm booking the next cabaret something, I can be aware of like, oh yeah, what are they working on next? Oh, that's actually perfect. So don't make it hard for us. Make yourself known. I also want to echo that I don't think you have to have the hugest TikTok, the biggest Instagram. I just need something. So whether it's a MySpace page or an Instagram, I don't really care. I don't even think like the design needs to be that good, but it needs to be accurate and it needs to be up to date.
I love it. And I want to, like, you're 100% right about having an awareness of others, right? I feel like we're probably 5 of the guiltiest people in the room right now because we want to see all of the shows, right? And we go into every festival like that. We, on average, see 20 when there's 400 shows, and it hurts our hearts so much. And so having that awareness of, I know you're busy, if you have a chance, it would be wonderful to have you at my show without that push, because we already feel bad.
Go and see other artist shows, and that's super important. Like we see who is a part of the community, and it's important to have a good vibe at the festival, not just rock up, perform and piss off. Fringe is more than that. For us, it's a meeting place, and it's a place to share knowledge. So if you come and visit the festival, take advantage of it. Be there, show up. But otherwise, I think you guys cover most of things.
I don't want to lie. You know how many emails we get every day? So don't be upset if we don't answer. We would like to, but we can't. I gave permission to Edinburgh and Avignon, of course, festival to send me email, to send the artists my email. And I receive daily about 200, 250 emails.
It's horrifying.
This is terrible. This is terrible, but it is beautiful.
Yeah.
I would like to read each of them. So what I can tell you is, don't last any chance to be present. Come to the carousel, come to the beach. Sometimes in Italy, I have a few actors that complain because they have no audience and they don't come to any social meeting we set up for them. So it's important that you are present. You are a community, and being a community means promote themselves in the better way, in the best way. Of course, there are places like Avignon where they call the traquage, means they give flyers. They go on the street, give flyers, and they stop people and they say, "You want to? I tell you my story." And the people say, "Yes." Because there is a fringe tourism. Thousands of people staying there just for the fringe, and this is a good options for you. But in any case, go everywhere there is a community. Go everywhere there is a director. Introduce yourself. Speak. I will remember many of you, not only because I saw your show and I was delighted by your show, but also because I saw you again today. This is important.
Yeah. What is the threat I make every year at the last town hall, y'all? The handful of people who have an awful fringe are the people I've never met. They didn't show up at anything, and it's true. So round of applause to this group because you are showing up, you're invested in your work. Thank you for being those artists.
Last thing, of course, send me email.
She never gets another email like that.
That's fucking hilarious.
FrancescaVitali@gmail.com.
Give another personal email. Shit.
Cell numbers, we can just call you.
Now, what? There's a fine line between being pleasantly persistent and being a stalker. I've been to all the festivals that Francesca does in Italy, and one of her Italian artists stalked me and another director, basically appearing in places we were at the breakfast buffet, in our inboxes, going to see the same shows, and it became...
Gianluca.
Yeah, I've had breakfast with Gianluca. We're not supposed to name names, remember?
No names. I don't want to be sued.
We're going to switch gears. Let's go back to capturing content.
Because we love him.
What's your Instagram?
Oh, the final 3 days of Fringe get fun, don't they? Okay, I want to bring it back to what artists can do in this moment, because you're talking about capturing, having a presence, making sure that it's up to date. Can you give me each 3 things that you think an artist needs to make sure they're capturing with a current production, whether that be like which media should they have, photos, what are the 3 things that each of you recommends an artist have before moving on to the next level with the show?
I always encourage people to rewrite the description after you did the run, which I know sounds crazy, but I think it's so true what you're saying, like maybe your feeling about the show is going to change after you read the audience reviews. It's so instructive. You've performed the show 4 times, 40 times, you've learned things, your audience has learned things, and I think it's also okay not to dissuade your audience or make them distrust you, but I think it's really okay to know who you're pitching to. You know, this happens in movies all the time, where they're like, oh, we want the romantic comedy audience. Secretly, it's a horror film. But, you know, I think it's important to know, like, how are you angling it? And then if you have a twist, or if you're trying to understandably get people to a deeper level, how do you get them there? I also need really clear video footage. I hate when an artist is like, here's my footage, and it's like somebody on their phone on the side, and I see you 50% of the time in the screen. You don't need to spend a lot of money. I don't even need a multi-camera shoot, but I need to be able to see you in the frame when you're doing what you're doing. I think get some good photos. It's great to have documentation, but I also think it's important to have really good marketing images that aren't so dark. So often you're performing in black boxes. When I curate our Instagram for Red Cat, I cannot have every image have a black background. It's just kind of bland. So like, take your character and do something site specific. Get a backdrop, hang up a little sheet or a scarf. Do
Get out of the
different.
theater.
Yeah, get out of the theater.
Yeah, I agree with that strongly. It's like images that are relative to the storytelling of the play that aren't trapped in the theater. It is a really good idea. The other thing that I really go for is, back to the audience, is, and by the way, excellent point, get some B-roll that honors your work. That's super important. Because often we're looking at this B-roll on a plane, or we're in transit, and so it's got to hit. The other thing that is, back to the audience, is get audience testimonials.
Yeah.
After your show, get some audience testimonials and really, edit those into a tight clip so I see, like, also who your audience is by who's giving the testimonial, and I can see the range of that, and we can spot your friends in those testimonials, trust me. We know who you are. But also,
Because of all the stalking, obviously.
and we can spot the John Lukes. But also we can spot the genuineness. I mean, and also it's your greatest asset, because what better energy is there than somebody who loved your show and just came out of it? They're ready to pop and talk about it in a really exciting and full of energy way.
The photograph stuff is super important, so like, put your money there, but also don't make it too good, because some people have amazing images and then their performance is nothing like it. Like, it's almost like, people who are catfishing, but in performance. I mean, so just be, it's great to be so specific, but also, it's a fine line, but I feel that most people nowadays know, and be on the channels that your target audience is in. To communicate with the language that they take in. It's a fine navigation balance.
Okay, a good presentation is important, of course, but be smart. For my festival, I'm asking to the companies attending at the festival to send me 30 seconds self-tape. Last year I did the same, and you know what? Many companies send me the self-tape. Hello, I'm Francesca. I'm performing at Milano Fringe Festivals the day blah 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 with the show blah 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 with you all. Blah, blah. So 10 sides. Last year, one actor did this. He dressed himself as a delivery person with a pizza, and he rang a bell. The person opened the door, and he delivered the pizza, and on the paper of the pizza there was written "Smart Work." That was the title of the show. and there was hundreds of sites. So being in a way a little bit smart to find an idea that is not the normal introducing. Well, you are fringers, so you are really familiar with weird and with fantasy, and you should take a risk. I can tell you, you will be very appreciated for it. I don't want to say that you have made people laugh. It's not important. It's just to have an idea to introduce in a smart way your play, and you will see that this is something useful.
I love that. Yeah, y'all are artists. Lean into it. We look at the same whenever we, travel to select shows that come here for the exchange program, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the artist who is going to come and have fun in the community, who is going to be a fitting member in this group and be a part of it. And some of that is humor in their marketing, or just a general sense of coolness. So lean into that because you all have it. I want to talk about how to kind of level up. We talk all the time at Fringe about it being a very bare bones, low budget version of whatever the show could turn into. So if you are looking specifically, I think the two of you are looking to book work that is kind of ready to be taken to that next level. So what about a show tells you it's ready to move into that?
Yeah, for us, we're definitely, the Encore series is about not a lateral move, it's about a vertical move for your show. So you have to have that vision, I think, is the key. Is we can help get you there, but we don't want to get you there on our terms. We want to assist you in getting there on your terms. So having a defined image and plan for what is success to you, clear in your head, doesn't throw the power away from you. You got to retain that power of your artistic vision and let people like us assist in getting you there. And we've had, and you're in the perfect environment for it. I mean, in the last couple of years, I can think last year we took Gil Scott Heron's Bluesology out of the Hollywood Fringe and moved it into the Encore series, and then ensuingly extended it for a full off-Broadway run. We took Wounded out of the Hollywood Fringe. We took Bill Posley's The Day I Accidentally Went to War out of this festival. So we're here, and that's a good conversation to have with one of us if you see us at the Plunge or in the lobby or wherever you crash into us, is talk about your visions and talk about what the larger end game vision of your artistic idea is. And whether we're booking you or not, we're going to engage in a conversation that's probably going to be cool and assist you in that.
Yeah, I think similar to that, I need the show to be really strong, even in its $30 version. And then if we're moving it to a $3,000 version, I don't want you to feel like you're going to lose your core. The core needs to stay really strong. In order to size up, you need to be a good collaborator. So I need you to be somebody who can be open to new ideas. So if we hire a lighting designer to do something different, you're not going to feel threatened or anxious about that, but that you're ready to consider how someone else's ideas might further support yours. I also want people who are open to revision, because so often I see a show and I'm like, oh, that was so great, and if we had a dramaturg work with you, I think you could really take it to the next level. So it's not only about adding lights and tights and a beautiful set and a new composition, but also being ready to go deeper or to take it to a second chapter. So I always want to know, even if you're like, I think my show is amazing, could you do a second version of that? What would that mean? What would you change? It's always a bummer when an artist is like, I don't know, I thought it was pretty good. And I'm like, well, sure, but even Shakespeare is making new plays, and I need to know how you're open to iteration.
I think that's really key, because there are two different options, right? If you're an artist who you believe so fully in your show and you're not ready for feedback, you're not open to collaboration, then that's where the independent tour circuit is the right move. But agree, you have to be ready to work with other people to book and collaborate on something larger.
Live theater is Darwinism. It's survival of the fittest. It's performance, feedback, revision.
I don't think I have an answer to that question, because we're not a place that will help you scale up as such, but we possibly will help you to find your next collaboration partner. Maybe it will be a person from Sweden who you would do a co-production with, and then your field of grants that you can apply for in Europe will grow because you have local collaboration partners. So that way we can help you grow in knowledge and experience. But we know that, I mean, we love work in progress. We have a lot of things that are in development to showcase at the festival. Then people come, perform, meet people at the festival, and come back the year after with bigger things in collaboration.
I think in general that the first mission of a Fringe festival is to let you scale up shows, no? And and on my festivals, if you count, there are many Italian and foreign partners that are normally helpful because, well, I like shows that have a bit of flow.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't like perfection.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you go to the in festival, you don't go to the off festival, or Fringe festival. So the directors and people is there just to help you to become a better show, to have a better show. And on this regard, we have a plan for giving you support all year round. Well, this is our 7th edition, We are just a baby compared to other fringes in the world. But we hope to offer support to the companies all the year round, thanks to the collaborations of the directors of other Fringe festivals and to directors of Italian festivals. Because in Italy there are thousands of good festivals well known all over the world, like Spoleto, Asti, and Milano, and so on. So trust in the Fringe, because I think that all of us will give you good opportunities to become, bigger.
Yeah, I think all of you kind of spoke to this in different ways, but I think us and other people who are programming, other industry members, we want y'all to succeed. We genuinely have so much love for you as artists, for the work you're doing, for the bravery and the risk taking, because that isn't fucking easy. And so we get just as excited as you do. And so we are all here, and it might not mean a booking or a huge contract, but I think everyone is always open for a cup of coffee. How can we talk it through and help you get to whatever that stage is you're looking for. And I think I want to remind you, yes, of course, their industry members can help with things like that, but this room is full of your connections. And I say this all the damn time, and I'm going to keep saying it, because it's important, especially in Hollywood, everyone is in the industry. Your connections are sitting right next to you, and it'll be the person you can collaborate with before you get to the huge, contract with a booker. So don't forget that you are each other's best advocates and best potential collaborators as well.
May I add something?
Please.
I'm so proud that our Annalisa is here. There is an Italian performer. She's here, and I'm so proud of her because she's perfect. She's a friend of everybody now. She's perfectly a Fringe girl.
Her show is called No, correct?
No, the show is No. She's performing today, I think, and
East
tomorrow.
Windpack. Yeah.
But the same, when you come to Italy, I'm so glad to see you performing, and that the audience say, "Oh, you had that great idea with this show coming from India or from Australia or from all over the world." So please, travel the world. Travel the world. You will find many chances to become different, to prove yourself with other languages, because also other languages, other culture are useful for you. So trust Fringe.
You're getting a lot of homework. I feel like, so let's talk about that, right? Because we have 3 days left. Fucking damn. So what's next, right? That is, I think, otherwise you wouldn't be here. This whole panel is about what is next. And I love to talk about things in digestible, actionable steps. So as we, in 3 days kind of end this run and go through all of the many, many emotional journeys that come with that, what are a couple of items that people can start to focus on to start to build what's next, still using the momentum from the community and the run and the audience?
Well, I pick up on the homework idea. Do your homework in the sense of, I don't just want a pitch about why your show is great. I want to, in the conversation or in the exchange, realize you've done your homework about Soho Playhouse. And you have specific reasons why you think you're a match for our aesthetic, our theater, our community. So that's something you can control, is like you can do your homework about us and why, and then make a specific pitch about why my show fits with your community or your artistic community or your overall vision as a theater. So I would say that's something you really could do as far as homework goes.
100%, and I'm gonna nail like an exact example. We have exchanges with other festivals. Maybelline is in her sweat era, was from Adelaide Fringe this year, right? Many of you saw the show. We took meetings with every artist that was on our short list that we'd seen and we knew would fit into Hollywood. And Maybelline came in with 5 reasons why Hollywood Fringe was the perfect fit for her show and why she would do well here. So who came to Hollywood Fringe this year? Maybelline.
Yeah, I think echoing that, it's not always easy to go to Adelaide and then know, like, oh, this is why. But you guys are here in LA, and there's a great scene in LA all year round. So, like, if you haven't been to Red Cat, you should come to Red Cat and see a show. Get a sense of what the feeling is. See the artists that we're curating there, and meet people. It's also a great place to be social. And I'm so much more willing to meet with an artist when I'm like, oh yeah, great. You came to see what we did in theater last year. You have a good sense. You understand the strangeness of our parking garage, like you're part of the community, you know? That kind of lived experience makes a huge difference. And the worst thing is that when somebody writes me and they're like, hi Katie, I'd love to perform it on the boards. And I'm like, oh, that's not us. So be careful as you email as well. Like I think it's totally valid. You might have a day in a coffee shop where you're like, I'm gonna write to my top 5 theaters, but don't confuse us with each other because we are distinct.
I'm not sure if I can answer that question really, but I do think that after the Fringe, you need to take care of yourself. Because
That's a good answer.
you need to take care of your mental health, you need to take care of yourself, because to be able to go into your next project and your next season, make sure that you don't break yourself, because there's going to be no use of you if you're broken. So just take care of yourself.
That was the perfect answer. Yes.
Yeah, right after the festival ends, take a break. A break of a few days. You know, just sleeping or meditating, that's it. And after, I should suggest you to go into the website and to see all the other Fringe Festival and have a map of which Fringe Festival is on your page, on your mood, and try to have a map of next year or next 2 years about where you would like to go. By the way, I left the postcards of the Fringe Festival, or Italian Fringe Festival, there. I hope that Valentina translated in English. We are Italian, we lose time. So in the next 2 days you will have the English version. There is a QR code. You will see, but not only for Italy, but also for the other countries of the world, have a map for the next times. It will be helpful, and in this relax that you will have, I am sure your mind will be clear to decide which is the next step, the best to do for you. Okay?
One thing, and it's maybe not what you do after the festival, you do this before. If you go on tour and you go visit another town you haven't been to, make sure to contact the people in the industry in that town who you want to come and see your show. The people who are above us, above the Fringe, the people where you want to perform the year after or the year after. So make sure they're going to see your shows, because we do spread things to the industry and we invite the people, but you know yourself who you want to be working with in a few years, hopefully.
No, that's great. And I think, yeah, I want to bring it back to the rest. I think it is heavy what y'all do, and you know this, right? You live it, the need to change the world with art and continually break those barriers down. One show at a time. We're gonna do it, but that doesn't mean you don't matter and you don't come first. So I love this. Yes, take a nap, take time for you. Start a hobby. I don't know what people do with time off, but I'm trying to figure it out too.
Bake banana bread.
Bake banana bread. One last question, then we're going to turn it over to questions. So let's try to keep this one a little short. But as brilliant industry professionals, what is one piece of advice you would offer, like your young self or an early career artist, that would help them move forward in the right direction?
Well, it's super cliche, but never quit, never give up, believe in yourself, and I call it, young people ask me, you know, I've done this for over 40 years now, and always be doing a show. Always be doing a show. Be creating in your head, be writing your next thing, be volunteering for somebody else, always be doing a show.
With breaks in between.
I think just remember the world is small. And sometimes this is a helpful thing, sometimes it's a kind of frustrating thing, but like the people you're sitting next to right now might be your like break into directing 10 years from now. I cannot tell you the number of people that like were my interns 10 years ago who are now running theaters. So in that way, like, also don't make enemies of people. You know, like the stagehand who you might be like, whatever, like that person could actually come to mean a great deal to your career 2 months from now, 2 years from now. So take stock in that. Don't forget about it.
Share that banana bread. Right?
Learn to say no. Like you don't have to jump on every opportunity. Is something really going to be good for you? It's good to take risks, but don't take too big risks. So you don't have to do everything, and just curate what you do with the
Well, I say, Sam, take your risk, but enjoy yourself. Laugh a lot. You're the Fringe. After the Fringe, laugh. This is an entertainment field, so you have to honor it. And then what I can say is trust yourself. So be honest with you in every moment. Don't lie with yourself, because this is immediately perceiving by outside.
Yeah. Okay, y'all. Let's do some questions. I'm going to name, we only have about 15 minutes. So do me a favor, if you have a question, raise your hand, tell us your name, the name of your show. Let's refrain from giving more info than that, just so we can get as many questions. And then if it's personal to your show or you want to invite these wonderful people to your show, let's save that for the after the Q&A. Sound good? Perfect. I'm going to start the next question, then move up to the front. I'm going to bring the microphone over. I always feel like I'm in a talk show in this moment.
Well, hi, my name is Azucena. The name of my show is Anytime and Place. It ran like the 2 first weeks of the Fringe. My question is because of that, it ran on only the first 2 weeks, and you are really busy to watch it. Is there a way for us to make it like, or to bring it to you in like a video, or like, is there any other way for us to share it with you if you didn't have the chance to watch it?
Aren't we in like the festival pool, like info database or something? So yes, of course. Yeah.
I would just say too, often shows are long, and we don't often watch the whole thing, at least at the beginning. So I think it's good to send the full video, but also great to say, if you only have 5 minutes, watch these 5. Or if you only have 10, watch these 10.
Yeah. I'm going to go. I saw your hand.
Hi, Samantha Bowling. I don't have a show in the Fringe this year, but last year I did a solo show called Missions, and the year before that I did a show called This Was Never Supposed to Be a One-Woman Show. And I was wondering if y'all have any kind of development programs, any kind of retreats, or any opportunities that are specifically developed for development.
Yeah, along with the International Fringe Encore series, we have a specific program for that at Soho Playhouse, which is called the Lighthouse series. So you should check that out on our website. The Lighthouse series, I think the first round you submit 15 minutes of your work, and it goes through an adjudication process, and then there's a second round where it elongates to 30 minutes of your work, and we've had then a full version. So there are developmental programs at Soho Playhouse, and through that we've had shows like Job that made it to Broadway and won Tony Awards out of that process.
I would just say apply to NowFest. You know, that's a residency program that we have here in LA. We do about 6 months of residency, dramaturgical feedback. full technical production, and then a mixed bill show in November. So applications usually go live in February, and then we make decisions, and we'll announce the next group at the end of July. So keep an eye out.
Could you repeat the name, please?
Yeah, it's Now Festival. It stands for New Original Works, and it's at Red Cat.
Thank you.
We don't have a program like that, aside from a youth project, and I suspect none of you are between 13 to 18. It's called Fringe Academy, so like we actually have helping young artists to become and to help them to package themselves better and to be good at legal stuff and agreements and taking care of themselves. So maybe in the future we'll have something for grown-ups.
Grown-ups need the
And
legal
I
stuff.
share this project with Adam and with the Thessaloniki Fringe, which is a partner from Greece. And this is what we are setting for the future. Let's cross fingers.
Hi, my name's Dee. My show's My Tiger. What does it look like to bring large casts to other festivals and other?
It looks expensive.
If you can afford to come, welcome, but it is, I mean, it's tough so, I mean, if you can apply for a grant, unfortunately, you're from America. And you have a government that doesn't support art, and you have embassies who are some of the worst embassies in the world when it comes to supporting artists. But it's not like a shut road, and there are ways around it, and American artists tour all around the world, and they somehow make it. So it's, yeah, I shouldn't be talking more. I don't
No,
want
I
to
love
get
it.
thrown out by ice.
We've been
Specific to that, that's why community building is super important. And meeting artists from around the world and also on Facebook even, or Instagram, or X, the various ways that we connect with each other in the world is often who's going to be housing your cast at the next stop. So, and give and receive in that pool of goodwill.
And naming not every show is right to tour, right? And that's the beautiful thing about being an artist. You're going to have hundreds of projects, and so there's a lot of local opportunity that can be for those larger casts. And then, you know, bring the smaller shows on the road. I think I have time for 3 more.
It's a green bug.
Hey. Oh, nope. Hey, there we go. The character in my show is between 13 and 18, but my name is Elle. My show is The Life and Times of a Gay Bug. The question I have, thanks, is in balancing, I feel like a lot of times the conversation surrounding Fringe is about how can everything be as small as possible to be able to bring it to Edinburgh and get in and out of the venue in 15 minutes. And for me, I know that I am somebody that is very grandiose in my theatricality, and so there's a balance there of being able to not lose the ethos of the show and the beauty of it. And sometimes I think that line for me is realizing, oh, maybe this is meant to be something that is not going to a festival where you're getting in 15 minutes and out. It might be something where, can you do a run for a month at a theater? But how do you typically balance that with curation of finding that balance of scaling up, but not losing the thing that makes a show beautiful?
Yeah, I'll let the others answer that specific to Fringe, but for us, Fringe and our Encore series and our involvement with Fringe is a portion of what we do. So, we make ourselves open and accessible to shows of all sizes, shapes, and et cetera, just in our annual programming.
I would say it's an extra cost, whether it's a big cast or whether it's a giant set piece. And so I will say when I book a show with a big cast or a big set, I have to be really settled inside myself that we're going to sell out, because I need to know financially that I will be able to reap the reward. Otherwise, we're in trouble. So it's much easier for me if we've never worked with an artist before to be like, great, it's a solo show. I'm going to have low hotel costs. I'm going to have low per diem. There's no freight, and I hope it does well. And then if it does really well, I'm much more willing for the second show to be like, yeah, great. Now you can work with 7 people, But beforehand, not so much.
I said before, just learn to say no, because as much as I will always be like, can you please make this a bit smaller, I also do not think you should compromise your artistic vision. So, and only you can take that decision. So we book all types of work. Sometimes we book bigger shows or more complicated things, but I'm not going to lie that we avoid that because it's a pain in the ass in our little festival. So it's, you know, but it depends on the year, and we try to accommodate the people who are above the 15-minute in and out. But yeah, you need to say no sometimes.
I'm gonna name from Fringe. Like, we always say the rules are meant to be broken as long as you have a plan and the budget to do so, right? In Edinburgh, one of my favorite shows I ever saw was Runners. It was a giant treadmill that they flew in that was the size of this room. Was that easy? Absolutely not, but they had the budget and the plan to make that work. So, as long as you have a budget and a plan. Francesca, do you want to add anything?
Budget? What's budget? By the way, I want to go after the line, and I want to say that we are partners with this wonderful festival. So applause to us. And we give 1 or 2 awards to a show. I'm just upset now because I need to make this show because leaving. But remember that I love you all, and if you have a show, the show that we take must have 50 minutes to up to 1 hour and a half. Not less than 50 minutes. This is something strange, but in Italy the decision is that. And you can apply, because what you all can apply for next edition. Well, application will start, I think, in November. So, okay, welcome.
I think I have one more question.
This is kind of two, but can any of you guys speak to, oh, by the way, my name is Benjamin. I have a magic show called Trust Your Instincts about decision making. And really there's 2 questions. One, can you give any advice as far as actually like touring a show and booking a show and going to other theaters to do a show? And this is kind of like a Darren and Katie question, more for if you just want to stay in the US. And then secondly, do you guys find any value in, or do you attend like Western Arts Alliance or APAP? And is that something we should consider doing? Is that something that is worth the time and money expense to do? And can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, like a lot of things, get professional help if you want a real tour of the U.S. There are people that do that specifically.
Like producers?
Yeah, well, actually, or touring companies.
Yeah.
Like the Broadway Alliance is a company out of New York that tours shows. They don't do shows themselves, they take your show and tour it and are professional at it, because it's a big world out there that's full of all kinds of negotiations. And I'm a huge fan of APAP, because that happens in New York City, usually in January, and in fact Soho Playhouse hosts a lot of those shows. It's a great idea. Our space, not surprisingly, is really fought after in January, because people have a booth at APAP, and then if they're at the Soho Playhouse in that same window of weeks when everybody's in town, it's like you can come see the work. So, but yeah, there's touring companies out there that can help you with that.
I'm gonna name this as a position with like mom, but like be picky about who you're asking to bring into your production, especially when it costs money. So it's like you know the first agent you get when you're out of college and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna give you all my money and you're gonna get me work. Did they get you work? Absolutely not. So please just take care of yourselves and be picky about who you put money toward and expect results when that happens.
Yeah, I just want to echo that. Like, APAP is great, WA is great. WA is in Los Angeles this fall, so I think it's really worth it if you're not spending money to travel there or be in a hotel. But I will also say, like, do your research and be judicious. The field is changing really quickly, particularly in this economic climate. And so, depending on the type of work you're doing, for some people, if you're a mariachi band and you really want to get on that circuit, it might be very well worth it for you to pay somebody who can put you into a lot of slots. If you're an experimental clown show, I might not recommend that for you. And it might be more important for you to get your personal self to New York City, sleep on a friend's couch, I wouldn't necessarily pay the $1,200 to have a booth at APAP, because I don't think people are going to book your work in that context. But you should go to Under the Radar. You should write to people like me and all of my colleagues who are going to be in the same city for 2 weeks. So there are ways you can intersect with that and not totally break the bank and just be really strategic about it.
Yeah, I used to go to APAP a few years ago, and then I switched to Under the Radar. But it all depends on where you're thinking you want to be in a few years. To be at APAP, it costs a lot of money, not just to hire that booth. I mean, you need to have giveaways, and I mean, it's almost like a Disneyland of performance art. So it all depends on your budget and your goals and things like that. But everybody is in New York that week. Every embassy from Europe are bringing over professionals, producers, because it's crazy.
On the fringe of APAP, perhaps? Okay, y'all, I'm so sorry, we don't really have time, and I want to make sure that people, because I know we have shows to get to, and I cannot be like, everyone be on time and then me run late. But I want to thank our brilliant panelists.
Thank you for taking your time to come and listen to us. We have far more important things to be doing.
If you are able to stick around for a minute, I'm sure there's a couple follow-up questions. But y'all, happy last weekend. Go fucking change the world.